output. And Malagos Druid also does have a good matchup against Bomb Warrior, though I would argue that so does Survival Druid. Maybe the nerf to Guardian Animals changes things a little bit in either direction, but I haven't had the time to test that matchup quite so much. The notable thing is that both players are running the Dragon version of Tempo Mage, which you and I are a little bit less fond of.
Indeed. Jumping into the first game now with the Druid up against the Mage. Not a matchup that we've seen in a little while. We always seem to default back to saying that, you want to be going for the Shenvala. But without that cop-out of an answer, Gia, what kind of hand are you looking for Surrender in this mulligan?
Well, the draw engine with the spell damage minions, and just about any matchup, you're happy to see that. Lab Partners, Astromancer Solarian, just the 3-2 body can be pretty annoying as well. DawN's Malagos Druid is still finding room to run Crystal Power, though, so that's a very big deal, because in other builds of Druid, sometimes you'd be very happy to just tempo out an Apprentice and be confident that it sticks.
Yeah, good point indeed. Also, with the Mali version, you of course have Moonfire Hero Power, so your 2 health minions on board are extremely susceptible in the matchup. For DawN right now, though, this is the kind of hand that I think really does feel the nerf to the Guardian Animals that was very perfectly drawn. Good job, script writers for Hearthstone. Cheat there, because with the nerf to 8 mana, it's now going to be that little bit longer before it's able to be played. And Mage really feels that extra turn of free development before their board is wiped.
Surrender gonna go ahead with the Cram Session. Double Mana Giants in hand and a Cyclone. He's 1 Apprentice away from really cooking, but that is the best draw for DawN this turn.
It is. We're already seeing, I think from his body language, DawN's feeling this one. This is... Still, there is some fear of relegation for DawN. He's in Division A, so it's very unlikely, but he could still end up... Sorry, I believe in one of those bottom 2 spots if he loses both his next 2 games. A win here, though, would really start to break him away from those 2 and 4 players down towards the bottom.
Truly. Interesting for Surrender whether he wants to proceed with One Thief or potentially discover a curve play for next turn, because his hand just doesn't come together very cleanly.
Yeah, that's true. I was kind of looking at Spellwing there as well, just to get a guaranteed really cheap spell for a big Mana Cyclone turn in the next couple of turns, because any generated spell you can get is obviously of the utmost importance with a double giant hand.
And that, I think, greatly informs his decision to take the cheapest possible spell in Brain Freeze. Nature Studies? But it doesn't work with Innervate the way you want to.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I mean, he can just play that to overflow the next turn.
Good point. In which case you potentially Crystal Power first, because then you can still hit Overgrowth if you get that as an option.
Yeah, and you just make the hand space.
I like that.
And I'm down to kill this spell damage minion. Surrender's like, show me the Overgrowth, but it's not there.
Nourish next turn is a thing, because it allows you to get down Guardian Animals without the Innovate, if that's much of a concern.
That's true. This is super weird, but I think I like the Nourish.
Better than Glowfly? Like, you could go Glowfly into Vate Guardian Animals. It's something on the board. It's likely to be at least 4 minions on the board. He ends up going with the Wrath, though, which I was not anticipating.
Okay. It does just kind of tell you that he is all on board for the Overflow next turn game plan, and maybe he just wanted the cheapest thing to cycle afterward, but... Coin Jandis.
Yep.
Sign me up.
You could not stop me from going Coin Jandis in this situation, Surrender. It's just so much tempo. Obviously, you lose the coin for the Mana Cyclones, but you get 2 5-drops on board. I'll take it.
2 great 5-drops, too.
Very, very powerful ones here.
I think the +1/+1 on the Shattered Rumbler is enough of a reason to not mind game whatsoever here.
Yeah, there's obviously the fear of swipe as well, which can kind of make quick work. Obviously, they might put the swipe on the on the barista incorrectly or something. Like, yeah, I still just think I like going for the illusion barista.
If this were a 5-5 Shattered Rumbler, you could interest me in some talk of mind games, but 5-6 still doesn't line up well into Swipe.
I mean, Surrender has been the king of interesting Jandis illusion minions for sure.
That's true. Top 5 moments.
Indeed.
Oi.
I think I like just going for the overflow.
There's just no other play except Wrath?
Yeah, it's like Wrath for 1, if you get the right one, does take damage off the board, whereas Overflow doesn't. But I feel like you're fairly likely to find a Moonfire that can do the same thing anyway. Wow.
Wait. Then you can't Overflow.
You cannot Overflow now.
Oh! But you can GA! What the heck?
Hello?
I don't know what that turn was.
He gets the right one, and he gets the GA down. Who is this man?
I don't know what I'm watching. How did he do it? How did he... Wait, that Rav... I mean...
That
the guessing game? Good job to DawN. Okay. But how do you go for a Wrath there when most of the draws are absolutely terrible compared to just overflowing?
That was low-key the coolest thing that DawN has ever done. That was just cool.
No sweat off his back. Are you okay with a small Cyclone here?
I think I'm looking at Cram Session, instead.
Yeah.
I'd rather have cards
Cram
from my deck.
Sure. Cram Session, Brain Freeze.
It's close, it's close.
It's just that
Ooh.
we want cards that generate other cards. So there are cards in your deck that do that. Cyclone also does that. But now the ping just kind of looks good too because of this Griffin.
Oh no, you're never pinging, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah, sorry, he still has the one thief attack. My bad.
Really is close.
Because this is Surrender, and he almost never takes the suboptimal order. I think he's going Mana Cyclone.
Right, yeah, that's true. The 2/2 body is worth something as well, of course, and Cram Session has a reasonable chance of still getting some good value. He was clearly torn, though. That was not an easy pick. Well...
So, DawN has 2 Twilight Runners left in the deck, so Guardian Animal's next turn is gonna be drawing him quite a few cards.
So let's get some
with
mana.
just ramping?
Yeah, to spend those cards. Good job, Fortify.
It's a Hunter card. What do you expect?
Ooh, okay, now we're getting interesting
wow.
here. Yeah, obviously not
super expensive.
What he wanted here. He can't go Tricaster plus Cram Session. I think you probably just take Tricaster because you're probably never playing any of them, but it can do the cheesiest things if you find Raz later on.
I still kind of want the cheapest one.
Oh, Dalaran Mage is so bad. It's such a bad card.
It is. It is.
Ugh.
Okay, then he goes Lab Partner, Cram Session, Mana Giant. Partner to the right of Solarian Prime and Giant on the far right? Is that the positioning? Oh, sorry. Are there even Threshers in this list? There are not.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
I think he's actually looking at Counterspell instead on this turn and just saving the Cram Session because you have a chance of sniping an incredibly impactful spell. And as we can see here for Surrender, this could be back-breaking for DawN.
That's a good spot. But it's not back-breaking for DawN.
Crucial draw. Absolutely crucial.
Runner, runner. Kill the giant.
Yeah. You don't like it, but you do it. Ooh, Omu Germination. Things are coming together, GM.
They really are. We haven't seen a single swipe or Moonfire yet. Malygos in the hand. Overflow.
Yeah.
Or more cycle for DawN.
It's getting there. It's
When you
definitely
play
getting there.
Malygos Druid, I would say 90% of the wins you get are off of a mix of board and burst. You hardly ever win by doing the actual combo with Swipe Moonfire, but it could happen this game.
Surrender obviously trying to find a way where he can draw Conjurer's Calling and play it all on the same turn. Sorry, I stand corrected. He's not even running it. Yeah, so instead, just trying to get the maximum card draw and get Giant down. So this does make sense.
Ooh,
more like
all
it.
the primes, 0 cost Giant. Oh man, can DawN even afford to just take a turn of all drawing? This is like a Giga Raz if he lets it stick.
So he can go Warden, Omu. Omu Germination, Mali Moonfire,
Overflow.
then Overflow to try and get Vate Swipe. I think
that's a line.
Yeah.
He just cannot take this damage. It never works. Even if he goes up to 20, he's just leaving 18 on board, and there's just so many generated spells possible. Wait. I thought he was gonna Moonfire something else, but he does just hit the swipe! Hello? I thought he had to overflow or something, but... Surrender's expressions are priceless as well.
I don't know, that was close. Like, is it... Do you take 2 cards to hit swipe, or 5 cards to hit swipe, but you have to hit Innovate or Lightning Bloom as well? I'm honestly not sure on the odds of that one.
Me neither. I was gonna go overflow there, but...
Yeah.
Good spot on DawN, I suppose.
Yeah, it worked out for sure. And now Surrender is miles behind in this game. If he can clear the board, I'd say he's winning. But that is an extremely tall order.
He can freeze the board, but the Mali...
Yeah.
There's still another swipe and Moonfire in the deck.
He can go freeze, cyclone, polymorph. Is like where we're at this point.
Maybe counter spell.
CS,
but he knows there's an excess mana in hand.
Time runs out on me.
Is he just going?
I think it's still a cyclone turn.
Freeze, Evo. He's digging for that poly.
Okay.
Just sees this as his best chance.
Oh, not. I saw one more thing target the Mali, but it was not perfect draw for Surrender. DawN is able to overflow.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I thought he was targeting the Malygos with Conjurer's Calling for a second, just to deny the spell damage, which, like, usually isn't worth it. I'll say that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Now we're talking.
Yep, we're chucking those bad boys face. Probably playing excess mana too. I guess there's no need to excess mana. Like, you're not playing anything you draw off the top. The last 3 cards are Ysera, Nature Studies, and Lightning Bloom.
Yeah, I like saving the excess mana for the same turn as Ysera.
Yep. So it's just Innervate, Swipe, Moonfire.
I think so.
Cash in the damage while you're sure to have the Mali on board.
Like, the one thing you're afraid of is if they generate box, obviously, at this point, or some other way of clearing your entire board.
Time waits for no one.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
Not even a Moonfire. Is he trying to get more value out of Alexstrasza, maybe?
I think he's just saving it for if there's another freeze plus big development on the following turn. Like, this is not playing around polymorph, obviously, but it wasn't generated last turn, so kind of unlikely to be there this turn as well.
Fair point.
I think this is okay.
Much more likely that Surrender does something on board and just generates Nova Ray of Frost. So
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, Go-Go Gadget, Mana Cyclone.
but how much Go-Go? Is it double ray arcane missiles mana cyclone?
I think so.
Or triple ray, I suppose?
Sounds good to me. Just max chances to hit box next turn is where my head's at.
Mm-hmm. He still could have tried for Polymorph that turn before he played the last two spells, but I think he knows that since he's not dead to swipe Moonfire, better to just try and look for box. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mali has still not been answered. You can greet it and just Alexstrasza.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you do just go for the Moonfire because the thing you are afraid of is Puzzle Box, which he gave himself max activations for. So just cash it in before the Malagos dies.
Correct.
Super kill the Cyclone, why not?
Okay, we're looking for Magic Trick into Evocation Counterspell, and not enough mana in the world. Both of Surrender's apprentices have been very near the bottom, it feels like.
Yeah, he just hasn't found what he's looking for. Even if he gets the freeze here. I don't think it's going to be enough. No way to hit Doomsayer before he dies as well on the following turn off of Conjurer's Calling. I guess he was just drawing to Solarian Prime there was his real out.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough.
Keep on drawing.
Apprentice? Oh no!
One card too late. DawN gets the win. It was a weird one turn there, obviously with the overflow, but to be fair to DawN, he played to an out and he hit it. It's kind of an old school style of Hearthstone that we haven't seen for a while, where you just play as if the top card of your deck is always the best card. And obviously DawN hit it and was able to shut down any development from Surrender entirely in I guess a pretty well played game of Malagos Druid, still demonstrating that the 8 mana cost on Guardian Animals, while it was impactful in that game because it stopped him going for the turn 6 Guardian Animals, still is playable for sure.
Indeed. The endgame from DawN, I think, was navigated very, very cleanly. I am still super confused what happened with the turn that he went Wrath instead of Overflow, but I suppose we'll review on it a little bit later. The rest of the series still has to get played out, and I would say that it's a huge win for DawN to get through in the Malagos Druid because I didn't think it had any particularly good matchups against Surrender other than the Bomb Warrior.
Yeah, the Bomb Warrior was the big one. After the Druid was banned away, I agree with you. You'd rather just have Survival over Malagos Druid apart from against exactly the Bomb Warrior. So DawN off to a good start, trying to fend off relegation, or at least the slim chance of it down at the bottom, and set his eyes towards promotion through to playoffs instead. When we come back from this break, we're going to see if DawN can go all the way, or if Surrender, our winningest player here in APAC GM, can turn things around. We'll be right back. Knowing when to get value out of your cards is hard. Knowing when to throw them down for no value at all is far harder. In a game where Bloodyface was in no danger of running out of cards, he makes the very tough choice to throw away one of the best cards in the game right now, Evocation. It's a clever spot, but that doesn't make it any easier to execute.
For Priest Deal, because they have to make a few checks to see which secret it is. Vaporized Priest likely won't do much in the ways of trying to test for that one for a while, but once you narrow it down to phase secrets, it becomes a little bit easier. So it looks like this is a wasted Radiance, which means probably a Mana Cyclone.
Love it.
Except he keeps generating more things, so Mana Cyclone is getting a little bit less efficient, but still fine.
Gift of Luminance, though. Septic Veilweaver. He just wants more Thought Steals. Okay. Maybe time to Mana Cyclone if you want to, then, and then dump the Holy Smite. Just because you don't want to have too many cards in the hand. You have Evocation, you have Raised Dead, you have Thought Steal. How much more value do you really need, DJ?
Yeah, it's awkward because either way he ends this turn with a full hand, unless he ends the turn with Evocation. Because if he plays Holy Smite, he adds another spell with the Sethic Veilweaver. Yeah, he has to end the turn with Evocation in order to make space.
Wow.
Oh, jeez, this game is getting really weird.
What a bummer.
Welcome one and all, thanks for joining us here today on a wonderful Saturday here for Hearthstone Grandmasters. Surrender and DawN currently fighting for kind of different reasons here in Division A of Grandmasters. As we've consistently been saying, Surrender has got himself once again, Kel Surprise, all the way up to the top of Division A and is just looking to lock those top two spots because come next week, when we play out our two double elim brackets, you get a bye if you're in the first two spots of Division A. So a big boon to his chances of going through to the World Championships if he can get that top 2 spaces. Whereas for DawN, he's just trying to get top 6 overall to look at getting towards playoffs. Because right now at 2 and 3, he's definitely in the fear of being in the bottom 2 spots and looking for another season in a row playing out that relegation bracket.
That is true. He would theoretically be in a better spot to do so. But why think about that when he's actually in a good spot in the series overall, already with 1 win, with his Malagos Druid getting through, and another good matchup to follow up with the Demon Hunter into Surrender's Temple Mage.
Good matchup, obviously, on paper for the Demon Hunter here. We've been seeing this matchup so much recently, I feel like.
Yep.
And I don't think my perception has changed that much, to be perfectly honest. It's still the game plan that if you get down a big giant early on, you can just blow out the Demon Hunter before they can even get the damage through. But if both players are doing reasonably powerful things, I think that in that instance, the balance just tips in favor of Demon Hunter pretty much every time.
DawN seemingly having some funny thought in his head this turn. He's like, do I really want to coin Soul Shear this?
Right.
And I was about to say, no. I thought he was just going to Hero Power into either Soul Shear or One Maker. But he is going to respect the early damage and the possibility of Cram Session.
Yeah, I think the Cram Session is the big one for me. It's still questionable, of course, and it leads into the thought that is creeping into Surrender's mind here. Does this mean he can go Tempo Apprentice here? Am I going crazy?
You're not. Coin Soul Shear can mean a lot of things. It definitely means there's a 2-drop to follow up, but is it another Soul Shear? Is it a One Maker? Is it Chaos Strike? Because 2 out of those 3 things kill Apprentice, I would still hold it back, but it would be super tempting.
Oh man, he gets, what, the exact 3 bad options in the exact same 3 spots, I believe, that he got last time? Because obviously there he was looking for one of the 2 drops, primarily Astromancer Solarian, which, I mean, you're extremely likely to hit a 1 or 2 drop when you play out your Primordial Studies on 2.
You really are. And it looks like it is just Dalaran Mage and Hold because he wants as many spells as possible for the Apprentice Cyclone next turn, but it is a mini pop-off. Man, I don't know, the usage of coin just makes everything quite awkward for DawN. I would expect another Soul Shear Hero Power, so then you can go Marrow Slicer, but it's actually gonna go Warblades.
I also expected that. I've got to say, I thought that looked kind of clean there, because really with Marrow Slicer, you want to play it and swing with it most of the time right away on the following turn. This does leave him a little bit more flexible on the following turn, to be fair, because he has got Blade Dance available for a 2-damage AoE, he's got Soul Shear. You know, he's not locked into Marrow Slicer at all next turn.
He's not. But I think it's more likely that, you know, Surrender plays 2 minions and then you kind of want to Soul Shear one, hit the other, and then you don't necessarily Marrow Slicer.
This is an interesting selection. Potion of Illusion obviously can be used as a very slow play, of course, but just with Apprentice to get another Apprentice back to hand. Tome of Intellect is not a very good card, obviously, but I guess the synergy with Apprentice and the Cyclone is enough.
Yeah, Surrender veered away from that game plan to begin with because he got One Thief, so I feel like he at least wanted to regenerate one spell that could fit in with the combo for next turn.
I grow impatient.
And I would have to assume this is just a swing and re-equip Marrow Slicer.
Agreed.
Or done. And the skull has hit the left side. Wait, why did he trade his minion?
Yeah, I mean, you heal right back up,
Yeah.
correct?
The health total would be the same, except you have a 2-1 on board.
Yeah, like, if you're expecting an Apprentice pop-off, this potentially, you could argue, denies a target for, like, the Ray of Frost. I don't think that's a good reason, because there's a Thalnos on the board, which you kind of want to target with the Ray of Frost anyway, just to get yourself an extra card.
That would be super next level. I mean, now there's not a Thalnos.
Gia,
it actually worked out for
it
DawN.
worked out.
What the hell?
DawN
What's
is
happening?
the absolute god of knowing what's coming up in the deck. He just knows.
Whoa! Crossbow. Kinda good, right?
Yeah, it is kind of good.
I mean,
Runs out on
Apprentice is dying one way or another the next turn, so I would like to take the cheapened Frostbolt, and sometimes it doesn't die if DawN
Right.
can't swing into it.
Like, you say it dies one way or the other. This shuts down the swing. It shuts down Glavebound. It shuts down... even if they just wanted to go face with the Lapidary, that's shut down as well. This is an insanely
Yeah.
powerful Frostbolt.
And now this looks like a very inefficient either Soul Shear or Blade Dance turn for DawN.
Demons.
Yeah, I would
Which-
much rather hold on to the
yeah.
Blade Dance with this hand.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think there's any world where you go tempo Glavebound instead, so you just do it and you're a bit sad.
Agreed. As long as he has Skull for next turn, the Marrow Slicer is not going anywhere, and then he can just go for one big swing with both Blade Dance and Development, if the Skull cooperates.
Double Secrets?
Double Secret, yeah. Not great, but everything else is terrible.
Yeah, like, we have to bear in mind from every turn here on in, because of the amount of discovered cards that have been played, every card draw could be Mana Giant, which I think at this point is approaching 0 already in terms of its mana cost. So just going for Cram Session is a tempting offer.
Spellbender actually has almost no things it can disrupt by this point because there's been double Soul Shear played, so
That's
it's
true.
only generated things from Wand Maker that DawN can use to target.
And this does force DawN to go, or at least in his eyes, off of the Skull of Gul'dan plan. But it means that with the Glavebound that he wants to play, the secret that it actually is pretty devastating for him.
That's a double whammy from Surrender.
Yeah.
The bluff and the actual payoff put him in a very good spot.
It really did.
Whoa,
Jandis
Jandis.
to follow up is a big deal too. Jandis freeze and just go face.
Yeah.
You got Fireball.
You got and 5 minions on board makes the Blade Dance, you know, not the easiest thing to pull off.
It's go time. Wormweaver? Whoa! That's insane.
That's a full board! Hello!
Oh my god. You can just play the second Ray of Frost for plus 1 attack on both your Wormies.
Yep. Azurite is, I think, gonna be the more durable minion.
I guess so.
Then you just have +2 spell damage on her
Oh my
Fireball.
god. Oh, it's only 1 Ray of Frost anyway. Fair enough. The point still stands. It's very powerful.
Yikes!
Yikes indeed. DawN can go for Skull into like exactly second Blade Dance plus the the Shard Shatter to clear this board. Or he can just take the Blade Dance as is.
Yeah, he can get it up to 7 with the Lapidary, and so it would be able to clear the Glavebound and the Azurite and the 3/6 if he's lucky. But you're still in a bad spot. There's just 2 Mana Worms that live. I don't think it's good enough, so
Yeah.
I like your Skull and Prey game plan.
I agree. It's just not enough.
Up.
That already locks it out.
Poor warlock.
Oh no! 2 mana Blade
Oh
Dance.
man.
He couldn't have gone double Blade Dance anyway if it was 0 here.
Too short.
Well, that's the game.
I think that is just game. Nothing can be found off the top. Ooze does nada. Shard Shatter and Blade Dance were technically found on this turn, so he's taunted by the idea of the game plan, but it doesn't actually work out. Surrender gets the win in game 2. Big upset in terms of how you expect the matchup to go. Big upset.
Yep. Oh, this Fireball is majestic. Buff the Mana Worms. Come on, Surrender. Buff the Mana. Oh, man.
Is he just pinging? Oh, Surrender.
Come on, Surrender. Nothing in the world could have stopped me from playing an 8 damage fireball and buffing my mana worms.
I mean, this is kind of embarrassing, Gia. We've just admitted that we're the kind of priest player that heals our opponent on turn 2 instead of just passing. Like, we're at that level of noob, whereas Surrender is, of course, just winning the game and moving on with his life. Equalizing the series at 1 game apiece, which is a very, very big deal, because although there wasn't a hard target at all by any means on the mage there, it still is a rough matchup against the Demon Hunter. It's a big win to get through. Still, however, for DawN, the tough matchup remains of the mage, which has to win against either Demon Hunter or Warrior, or potentially both.
It is true. And, you know, I worry about DawN's Demon Hunter play. I think so much could have gone differently had he just saved the coin with that hand. When you have Skull, I am in absolutely no hurry to tempo out my Wand Thief or get the Soul Shear online. I think it's fine to let the mage get a little bit of damage in the early game because you clean up with the Shatter Shard or with the Blade Dance at some point anyway, but it all needs to come at the earliest possible time. So Skull, 1 turn earlier, could have been the difference maker there. For the next match, it appears that it will be the Demon Hunter mirror, and it's been a hot minute since we've seen this particular mirror, but it, I think, really, really rewards the Demon Hunter player that has a good knowledge of when to go face and when to, you know, save up for big healing.
Yep, I do absolutely agree with you there. I think, again, with regards to that last game, there were a couple of points that DawN could have improved on, like just saying that can't be counterspell and just ripping the skull. Maybe it's too risky, but maybe it was worth it, and like not falling into the trap of the mirror image. Either way, I'm moving on at this point with the Demon Hunter mirror. Like you said, DawN has 1 ooze in his list, which can definitely help, but it's far from the back-breaking tech card that it is against the likes of Warrior or Weapon Rogue.
Funny because Surrender also just has 1 Horde Pillager that kind of offsets a weapon destruction in a way, but DawN has more total weapons because he has Horde Pillager as well.
Already though,
In
Surrender...
the place of the ooze, Surrender is running 1 Consume Magic.
Yes, not the best card in the matchup at all, because there's very little buffs, very little active effect on your minions, but just an extra cycle effect. You're not going to turn your nose up at that. The main thing, though, for Surrender is just look at this starting hand. This is incredible. He's got the perfect curve up to 4, and then Marrow Slicer into Lapidary. This is the dream!
Counting with Surrender. I want to note that for DawN, I don't think the Mana Feeder keep was very obvious. I'm on the fence whether it was right or not, but with nothing to support it, and it's generally played as a 3-drop in the matchup, maybe it's more important to look for 1-drops. But this might be the type of hand where it's River Croc. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I mean, unless he wants to go for Eldraki on turn 3, it doesn't sound great. But I'm with you. If he was playing the Battle Fiend list, I'd definitely be against it. But, I mean, what is he really looking for more so in the early game, apart from exactly Spirit Jailer? I think it's good enough to hold on to and still have a couple cards thrown away to look for the Jailer.
I mean, I feel like exactly Jailer, or even Soul Shear to an extent, unlocks so much of the deck. Because having Soul Fragments to unlock your Shatter Shard, because it's gonna offset the way you fall behind in the early game, and then having Lapidary first makes a huge difference in the matchup.
That's a fair point. Very fair point. And it's not looking great here, to be fair. This can quite easily be dealt with or even just ignored for Surrender.
Oh yes. Man, he has so many options.
Yeah, I think because of how useful the hero power is here, you still probably end up just on the Panthara, keep the cycle going, and the curve just still works out so cleanly.
Is he killing the Panthara? I think he can go all face here because he's super ahead. It's close, but obviously DawN's best response, right, is say Spirit Jailer into Shatter Shard, in which case their Panthera dies anyway.
Yeah, and it's very unlikely they have that anyway. I guess there aren't all too many punishes, are there? Like, so if they play Marrow Slicer, hit your 2/3, and value trade your Wand Maker, then all of a sudden you're looking at having to trade in the Spirit Jailer on the following turn when you play your own Marrow Slicer. So if you don't trade, you are quite often losing a 1-2.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Then he just responds with his own Marrow Slicer into Soul Shard. Surrender's gonna take the trade. So he values board presence still a little bit more. And it might be because DawN has had very lackluster early game.
Yeah, we've got to bear in mind as well that for Surrender, this isn't necessarily at this point the play of Marrow Slicer into Soul Shard, because he's got the Maleficent at this point. He could, of course, go...
Maleficent! Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Militia. Yeah, some cross-IP plugging there. Don't know why that's entered my mind. Militia on the next turn. It could be coming down on turn 6 after Spirit Jailer on 5. My goodness.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but now he has Lapidary. That's backbreaking as a curve as well. It does mean that the Marrow Slicer gets in and you potentially miss charges though, and it fails if you draw the other fragment off the top. So a lot to be considered here.
I mean, there is also the consideration of just not going for the Marrow Slicer on this turn and going Coin Lapidary to get the 5/5s in play right now.
It's a backbreaking curve for sure, but it has that small failure rate of you eat up one fragment and then you possibly draw the other one and you're sad.
Good point.
So I think overall it's safer to go Marrow Slicer and leave yourself the option to coin Maleficent on turn 6.
The most embarrassing thing is I'd forgotten what it's called, and I was so proud of my brain for remembering at the last minute. I was like, good job. You've absolutely nailed this bit of casting, Derek. Don't listen to the haters. And it turns out I was a dum-dum all along.
Okay, Ooze available for DawN, but it makes the rest of his turn pretty awkward. But man, having to glaive bound a minion that isn't a glaive bound feels really awful in the matchup. At the very least, it makes Lapidary for Surrender not the most straightforward decision.
Yeah, which does again lead me back to the Militia thinking here, because you could go for Swing into the trade, Spirit Jailer Aldraki, and then coin Militia. I guess the obvious thing is that Militia is vulnerable to be cleared in this matchup, whereas you could just kill them on the next turn, which also has a lot of benefits.
Surrender has all his bases covered, whether if DawN starts trading and trying to redevelop, Surrender has Militia. If DawN ignores Surrender's face, then he just kills him with the other Lapidary.
Exactly.
This looks like it's a forced Blade Dance play. I don't think that DawN is likely to die from 10 with no weapon on Surrender's side, so if he can Blade Dance and then just next turn try and heal up with the Eldraki Twin Slice, that seems like the most reasonable line.
Yeah, I agree completely. Even with Soul Shard into double Twin Slice, you're still not dead at that point.
Oh,
wow.
He's overriding to get the heal already.
I don't think
I
I like
don't know
this.
about this one. Yeah.
He could have gone Hero Power Panthara on that turn, like get another minion on board, draw another card, and then next turn gone with the Eldraki double Twin Slice, and even fit in Ooze at the end there on the next turn.
He would have floated a mana, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Compared to trying to optimize both the staying alive and killing them game plan.
Demons.
It does put Surrender in an awkward spot though. Fair play. Militia gets the clear, but DawN's Eldraki remains intact. Shard Shatter Mystic is actually not even that strong here. Didn't realize the Militia only had 2 3/3s.
Yeah, it's really not that impactful, is it? I mean, it keeps him alive, which is obviously fairly impactful, but not game-winning quite yet.
Starting with Wand Maker.
Okay. Well, he's got the clear, right? It's not that bad. He can just go Hero Power, second Slice. I was thinking Panthara, but this works too, and end with Spirit Jailer.
It's a clear, but it feels awful to have to tank the 5 and not put it to Surrender's face. You can make the argument that if you think the game ends next turn, you can just send this attack phase.
Right.
Because it's the same amount of damage you take across one turn from the 5/5 connecting phase. But DawN's hand has no additional damage, so it's really, really tough. I think you should kill the 5/5 and just pray that the skull the next turn will help you out, but you can also pray that
Wow.
the skull gives you lethal the next turn.
You know what? Let's go, DawN. I respect this hit to face.
Okay. Charge Shatter for surrender, but no healing whatsoever. Oh, sorry, he has the Eldraki.
Yeah, it can heal for 3, which is not bad, and then set up for a huge heal turn on the next turn, obviously.
Demons.
Yeah. Or possibly just ending the game.
Yes, of course.
Heal 3 is huge here.
Means that we're approaching no chance, I think, for DawN to hit lethal here, because he's only going to have 1 mana left over after he hits the skull.
Oh, and you kind of wanted to hit this off of the skull.
Yeah,
Shard Shatter
indeed.
Mystic. So, does he just play everything else instead? He can clear the Eldraki Warblades.
Yeah, you clear the ooze, you go for lethal next turn
Yeah.
instead. I think this is definitely the way to go.
Yep. It is super back and forth.
Oh, and it means, again, next turn, what is this, 7 damage available? There's not even draws for lethal.
I think DawN just gets over the line.
I think he might.
Chaos Strike. There's one more Shard Shatter Mystic and Surrender Stack. Also Blade Dance, a big deal.
Yeah, he could potentially go for Spirit
grow
Jailer into
impatient.
Consume Magic first instead to get more shards in the deck. I don't know if that's worth it over the attack that Chaos Strike affords you.
If you're putting on yourself on needing exactly Blade Dance or Shard Shatter Mystic, then your line makes sense. Because he still has the mana to go for those.
Yep. I think I like the chance of hitting the shards.
Oh, it's so tense.
Really
3
is.
outs in the deck. I mean, technically, he's not even dead to
Okay.
what he can see, but you have to assume that
Oh.
there's more damage coming the other way.
Eldraki for heal? That's a big deal. Another soul fragment? Maybe he just survives. He doesn't need to clear.
Maybe. He goes
He's
up
up
to
to
20.
20?
Yeah. DawN is showing 8, but he has Skull.
Oh! It's gonna be close. It's gonna be very close. That's
Oh my
damage.
God. It's 15. You take the guaranteed heal or do you take the Skull?
Oh,
Ah!
he's just taking the heal! I guess that's probably correct. You just want to not die on this turn.
Yeah. You can already pre-spend the mana on the double jumps because one of the skulls will end up on the left anyway for the next turn.
Up to 15. Threatening lethal on the following turn. Surrender, though, has his own play of Soul Shard Lapidary to heal up even more.
Oh my god. It is super back and forth.
He didn't draw
you are
the
just
fragments,
supposed to
did he?
play. Yeah. Surrender has one more fragment in his
Right,
deck.
right,
You're
sorry.
supposed to play the double jumps here, right?
I guess so. Yeah, there's no reason not
Yeah.
to. Spend your mana. I like it.
Put off the skull for ages to stay alive. Oh, 12?
It's a lot of heal. Even if it's not lethal.
Yeah. He goes up to 20.
So you probably prioritize hero power over Wand Maker? At a guess?
I don't know.
Just because
Maybe you
mana's
can-
tight?
Yeah.
Is he going Skull?
No, I think it's still Lapidary. It's just between Wand Maker and Hero Power.
Right.
One additional healing versus Wand Maker on the board. So let's talk breakpoints. DawN is showing 11 with the Hero Power. So if you go up to 19, that seems like a pretty safe breakpoint.
What if it
I
is
don't
Skull,
know.
though? You can hit Shard Shatter, you can hit Blade Dance, you can hit more attack buffs to heal for more.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Warlock.
Aww.
that's something. Oh, those aren't it.
That's...
Still gets to heal though.
Yep. Up to 15
Uh-huh.
or 14 and re-equip. I think it's 15.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, DawN surely has this, right?
He needs 8 damage.
Alas, poor warlock.
DawN surely has this, right?
That's 5.
Alas, poor warlock.
7?
That's 1 off?
Such a beautiful shield.
Are we miscounting? No, it's 1
I
off.
don't think so.
Yep.
1 damage off lethal!
But it's heal. So
It is heal.
fine.
Surrender on the
can
other side.
possibly re-equip with the Horde Pillager the Eldraki Warblades.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he gets Twin Slice
Treasure?
and the
Yup.
Lapidary.
Yup.
Ask for.
He gets the Eldraki, but he can't kill the other Lapidary. Oh my goodness. This is clowny.
He has to be dead, surely. Blade Dance! Oh my god!
Oh my god, that was the draw to keep Surrender in this. Hello?
What is happening?
This is the most back and forth mirror I have ever seen of any archetype.
There's no soul fragments. Militia doesn't do it.
He has Soul Shear though.
Okay. He can go Soul Shear Militia, I guess, to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Is
then
that
he's
just the best
dead
play?
to... Yeah. Oh, in terms of damage
I
left for
grow
Surrender, he has
impatient.
2 Glaive Bounds in the deck.
Yeah.
Chaos Strike and Kane. But if you Skull here, can't even hit healing. There's just
Right.
none left. Wait, he can hit...
The Horde Pillager.
Yup. But it doesn't get that much bigger.
Warlock.
The clear.
That's a clear.
Yeah. And he can play Kane?
Time grows
Probably play the
short.
Marrow Slicer instead, right?
True.
Just to get
Yeah,
guaranteed
more-
damage through.
Yep. And then he just prays that Surrender's hand is completely free of damage.
Oh my god.
This is so wild. Okay, Surrender has so many outs. He has a Skull, Double Glaive Bound, Kane, Chaos Strike, and
He can hit
even
Twin
Mana
Slice.
Feeder to keep drawing. Yeah, and One Maker can give Twin Slice. That's not one of the outs!
That's not it. So
Okay, start One Maker.
you start with one maker. That's nothing.
Soul
You
Share
then
the
go-
3/2, Mana Burn, Hero Power. You put them down to 5.
Yeah.
So,
Rep the lethal next turn.
maximize his healing this
I
turn.
grow impatient.
And then DawN has
Such a
8
delicate
damage.
dance.
So he technically hasn't won the game yet.
Correct?
He still needs something more.
Way to act.
Yes?
Oh!
At the end of all of this, they always need that little bit more.
Clearing the board doesn't matter. He has to heal or hit lethal.
DawN has 5 soul fragments in the deck. 4 now. He has so much healing from the fragments.
That's
One
no, wait.
mana off!
Oh,
One
wait.
mana off!
No, he can get there though. He can just hero powers,
Oh, wait, get
and
the
he
hero
has
power.
to.
My bad. Oh,
Oh.
Spirit Jailer. I forgot it could attack. Oh my god.
Exact lethal at the end of it all. Didn't need the cane. The lapidary is just what he needed. I could not have told you who was going to win that at any point. I was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was the perfect draw for both of our players at various points along the way. But it's DawN that gets there in the end. What a mammoth game.
Oh my goodness. On both sides, that was such a treat to watch. For all of me except my heart, you know? It's just really, really exciting. I don't know how you're supposed to optimize these plays because not only do you have... You're not playing with their face-up health total. They can heal from Eldraki. They can heal from Soul Fragments. It's so difficult to put a read on how much healing you think there is on the other side. from DawN. We could have seen Skull so much earlier, but in the end, I kind of like that he held on to it for so long. Very, very safe play. There was just one turn, I think, where maybe he wasn't supposed to Aldraki right away, and instead he healed and missed some board development. But for Surrender, there was also a really cool play to look for the one Blade Dance as his remaining out and stayed longer alive. Oh my goodness. What a mirror.
Yep, crazy, crazy stuff. I think even then, like the turn where he went for the Skull instead of going for Soulshare plus Militia, I think I have questions about, because he did hit the clear, but he was far from guaranteed to. Maybe he had other things that he had his mind on that would have swinged things in his favor a little bit more. Either way, at the end of it all, we can look back and I'm sure pick holes in their gameplay many, many times over, and they can call us idiots for our suggestions many times over as well. But DawN is the victor in the end, getting a win with the Demon Hunter. He still has the Mage, though. That was the easy win for DawN. Now it's the tough one. Bomb Warrior, Demon Hunter left over. 2 unfavorable matchups, but he only has to win one of them.
Yes, indeed. I don't think Mage is teched with anything particularly fancy. It's just that he still has Conjurer's Calling on top of the Dragon package, which you don't normally see a little bit of both. He's cut a One Thief to make room for the one of Conj, and I do think that the Conj is a big, big deal against Bomb Warrior.
Yes, I agree. Big deal against Demon Hunter as well, actually, in being able to get down the Giant, get a big threat on the board. I'm actually a big fan of DawN's list of the Mage. If you are going to go for the Dragon version, sorry, as I've said multiple times, it's the Conjurer's Calling that I miss the most that's cut from this list. So I do like going for the Conjurer's Calling in favor of one of the One Thieves instead.
Curve is definitely far off from what we saw from Surrender last game. Spirit Jailer on 1 is nothing to scoff at, though.
Oh, it says explode!
DawN's hand definitely looking like it has more firepower, but maybe it lacks a couple spells to really pop off with the Shenvala. Twin Slice, Hero Power. And then the next turn is Spirit Jailer, Hero Power. Surrender is just trying to make sure he can fill out his mana by fitting in the Hero Power every turn. I think in the near future, though, we're probably going to see the Consume Magic as a cycle. There are not too many cards that you want to particularly silence from the Mage's side in this matchup.
What are we thinking here, Gia? Tempo Shenvala? Are we ever throwing it down with the coin here to get it on board?
It was an option.
Not one you're a fan of?
Couldn't really make good on the bluff because there were not enough spells to do so,
Right.
but I think I can respect holding on and then going Shenvala coin and then coin into Cobalt Spellkin maybe.
I mean, there were a couple of tempo plays I was looking at there. Like, Coin Shenvala, I was not especially serious about, but just playing out Cyclone there when you have, like, this much stuff in hand, I'm not really sure you're looking to get full value out of both of them. Don't know.
For Surrender, though, it's a pretty straightforward Marrow Slicer.
Oh, yeah.
I grow impatient.
You could consume Magic the Shenvala, which lets you get down the Mana Feeder Panthera, but I think this is a little bit too clean.
It's so clean, right? Because
This board.
you also have the ability to clear up pretty much whatever comes down next turn. If it is the expected play of Coin Cobalt Spellkin, I mean, that just feels so bad, right? Like, you're kind of just locking that out as a possibility just because of how much tempo Surrender
A
gains.
simple spell.
DawN is charging up. He needs an apprentice to really unleash the full potential of his hand.
Yeah.
But the resources are there.
And all the while, Surrender is very happy to continue at this equilibrium because with all these soul fragments in his deck, it's just leading up to a Militia that is going to lock out the game.
And the chip damage is starting to stack up. We talk about how Demon Hunter is very scary with the big chunks of damage they can push forward, but the early board control is nothing to be underestimated either. Surrender just thinking about whether he can get away with 5 plays, but because DawN runs a natural copy of Conjurer's Calling, I think he should respect Cobalt, and he does. Go again.
Going again, he's really, really hoping to find that apprentice. Like, even on this turn, I was looking if it should have been set up the side quest, because you have a bunch of elementals in hand. You could have quite happily drawn 3 from your deck, but he's just all in on the plan of trying to cheat out this mana.
Yeah. And it just lines up fairly well. The 3/5 on the board, you don't see a weapon anymore, so I
True.
don't begrudge the Kobold at all.
That's fair.
Or surrender. This could be a full hold. The Eldraki and push 2 is interesting, but I think he would really want to immediately play the Marrow Slicer, and then you override by that point.
Really? I'm kind of looking at like...
Oh, sorry, the Militia is...
Yeah, exactly. Like Eldraki Twin Slice just to take it out cleanly, and then Militia straight up next turn looks super strong.
Time grows short.
I didn't realize it's 5 fragments in the deck right now.
Yeah. Honestly, though, fair enough. If you want to make board space for the Militia on the following turn, I can respect just pushing damage face and allowing your opponent to trade quite happily.
Ay.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the way I like to play Mage. And to be fair to DawN, this was to an extent the hand that was offered to him. He didn't have much control over how he could have gone about it. But this just basically said, if I don't draw Apprentice with 21 cards left in deck, I'm just going to lose.
I'm thinking it's fine to conj this instead.
Yeah, that's
but
what I was looking at.
Looks like he is still all in on finding the apprentice, which is a valid line of thinking.
Because of course.
Giga Militia.
There's no lethal available, is there? If you go 10 damage, no, not right.
A little bit short.
Yep, I'm very happy with Militia then.
If you do want to set up the 2-turn, there's room to still clear the board and go Marrow Slicer, which technically doesn't give them an out for freeze, but they have to generate the freeze in the first place. So I think Militia is strong in just about every other situation.
Yeah, I agree. And even then, it has to be like exactly freeze plus Giant, and then probably plus Conjurer's Calling for them to have a chance of winning. And you could...
There's the scary prospect of top deck Prime after he trades the Solarian, but that's just about it, I think.
Yeah, you're always running as that possibility, right? I mean, I guess, like you said, you could have left it up, but I'm not living in that world.
Cash in a slice, why not? Get the healing.
If he goes Tome into Primordial Studies into Lab Partner, it's still not there even then.
Nope.
Alright, let's draw 3 spells.
So... Looking for Frost Nova.
Apprentice is too expensive to draw off of AI.
I think we're at Conj the Spirit Jailer to get depth charge. I think that's where we're at.
I agree. I don't think there's any other out whatsoever.
Yeah, the mana just doesn't line up. Okay, there's Tome into Nova. That's the one. That's the other one. Oh, one time I want to see the depth
Probably
charge.
more likely. Yeah.
Okay, freeze 2 things. Hope you're staying alive.
Fair play. It's still just all in on finding some kind of a miracle turn. Maybe if you can draw Giant, double Conjurer's Calling into a bunch of, you know, Walking Fountains, Terralians, Tyrians, whatever, it's not going to matter. Surrender gets the lethal in game 2, and it was a bit of a dire game for DawN indeed. Unable to get really any of the cards you need to be winning the matchup because he just didn't have the tempo options in the early game. It kind of came at the cost of mulliganing away the primordial studies, which I believe he had as an option in his starting hand.
Oh, did you?
You don't often see that mulliganed away anymore, I will say. But he was just left with very, very low tempo options at every point along the way.
Big deal, because this mage we kept on talking about in pretty much every series. It feels like the weak link in the lineups, despite it having such a high rate.
Yeah.
And now it will just come down to whether DawN can get that through against Surrender's Bomb Warrior. And the build for Surrender is not the pirate version. Do you have a preference for which build of warrior you'd rather face as the mage?
I think I usually would rather face the non-pirate variant. I think that being able to go nice and wide in the board early on is a pretty big deal, just being able to tempo out. And to be fair, I think it's really close because there's a lot of like alternate cards you put in that do a similar job. Like if you're not getting hit by the giant swing of Armorsmith with the Risky Skipper, then maybe it's just Sword and Board, maybe it's Whirlwind. There's a bunch of other cards that slot in. Ever so slightly, though, I'd prefer to face the pirate version, the non-pirate version.
Perhaps the biggest thing that the pirate version has going for it is a bit more consistent cycle. And the warrior absolutely needs to make sure it has the answers as soon as the threats come down from the mage. If you leave an apprentice for one turn too long, that could be the end of it. So I'm even wondering if Sword and Board is a keep here.
Generally, I prefer the aggressive options with the deck. I just want to find weapons in Corsair Cache.
Yep, that is definitely game plan A. And you also feel like more of the aggressor when you're on the play. But, man, I'm super tempted.
Oh, I mean, it was an interesting mulligan already for DawN because he threw away again a Primordial Studies, which I think with Apprentice, even if you're not tempoing it out with Apprentice in the early game, I'm just coming around more and more to keeping it in the mulligan. Like, being able to get a very likely Astromancer Solarian is just really strong to me.
Yeah, I almost always keep Primordial Studies. And at any point when you draw Cram Session, it can get a lot better.
This is getting spicy already. Both players with pretty good hands. I've got to say, another Primordial Studies. I will not turn my nose up at all, but Surrender, Wrench Caliber upgrade plus a cutting class now?
Yeah.
He's going turbo mode.
Both of them are.
I will crush your
Solarian, Studies, try to hit another Solarian. That's a lot of damage.
Ooh. Into Coin Raz next turn. This is looking good.
You just pray they don't have the Blade Storm. And even if they do have the Blade Storm, you disrupt their ideal play of Wrench Caliber. Uh-oh.
Yeah, close your eyes and
Surrender
trade
has
Surrender.
the swing. He just doesn't have wide board wipes, so he's forced to do this. And the Coin Raz is still backbreaking.
Very strong. Surrender has powerful plays of his own for sure. Like next turn, just upgrade cutting class into the Coerce on Raz. Looks very powerful. He's not dying yet at all. DawN does need the follow-up, but he absolutely does have the follow-up with this hand.
Yup. He has the refill for next turn. And Surrender just has a gazillion weapon swings.
I'm okay with that. Like, this turn, I want to coerce the Raz, but honestly, I think I want this weapon swing to go face at this point.
I think we'll see what's in the cutting class first.
Yeah.
Very likely it's gonna end up face. But he really needs Blade Storm or Brawl.
Look at that Blastmaster.
Oh man. He might have to kill the Solarian. So, if you have Boom in hand, does that lean you more towards an aggressive game plan or a board-based game plan? I would argue board-based.
Yeah, I guess you can make that argument. Like, you just don't want to die by the time Blastmaster comes around, because you do need to be not tanking a load of damage when you take a turn off removal.
Exactly. Ooh, this is a sort of pop-off for DawN, but he doesn't have targets to land the Arcane Breath or the Magic Trick, but surely he can't do nothing this turn.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of going for a Cyclone turn without Apprentice on this turn and save the Apprentice for like a big evocation play.
Yeah, sounds good, right? You could have gone Trick, Ray of Frost, and
right.
Well, then again, you would still breath your 2/2.
I'm fine with that.
I don't know if that would work.
Like, with Evocation and Apprentice in hand, you don't want a million spells off of Cyclone. You just want enough good ones, whereas like now he's getting a hand full of Cyclone Star, which can be powerful, of course, but this Evocation without Apprentice is looking a little stranded.
Oh, there's a cram session.
This was pretty
Worth
good,
noting
to be
that
fair.
the side quest is also a big deal here once he gets that active.
Yeah. Are we looking in this game like it's going to lead up to Boom into Solarian as the response for like the just the back and forth of broken 7-drops?
Could very well be the case.
Oh, yeah.
Sword and board. Super
now we're
clean.
talking.
This will break your bones.
Lackey sword and board. Swing face.
You're not tempted by a shield slam? I guess it only kills a 2/2. Yeah. A-Wing, untargetable?
Cheapest one? Yeah. He's got no shortage of things to do on turn 7 and turn 8.
Just about surviving.
Dragon is largely a formality. Oh, wait a second.
I mean, kind of bad for DawN,
Yeah.
kind of bad for Surrender.
Yeah, there's one bomb in the deck. He can still get, in all likelihood, a pretty big boom next turn.
Yeah. Okay. Another spell. A Pexis Blast.
This turn was so slow. Can he finish the side quest at least with Icicle? That's all I'm interested in. He cannot. So development is super slow here.
I think you still play Icicle though, right? Like literally just to get it out of your hand.
Makes room, puts 2 more mana towards the side quest.
Yeah, exactly.
From DawN's perspective, it seems like the game plan is reverse whatever the next board state is with Solarian Prime and then try to stabilize with Deep Freeze. I don't think it's gonna work, but that's what the hand says.
Well, let's slam the Blastmaster Boom now for Surrender. Not looking at lethal quite yet, so DawN always has a turn to respond. But I will say, Solarian is not especially good against all these boom bots when he's trying to deny the damage going face.
You want the Nova, not the Blizzard.
Yeah.
Just Nova. Surrender's like, alright, first spell useless, second spell pretty good for him.
Oh, these are not doing it quite yet.
Oh.
Underwhelming to say the least.
Super underwhelming. So you can trade each 1/1 into a mirror image and then Whirlwind?
Correct. You can test for counterspell first.
True, with sword and board. And then you can still Horde Pillager and have the boom attack. So actually Vaporize is pretty scary in my line, but he'll know what the spell is as soon as this goes off, and that is game.
That's going to be it. The series going to Surrender. DawN, it's a rough way for him to go out. We were predicting the Mage would be the weak spot in the lineup, and that's exactly how it shook out in the end. Surrender finishes his run through the round robin in tremendous fashion. 6-1 overall, only having lost one single series. And the only series he did lose was to a player already going through to the World Championships in glory. An incredible performance from Surrender, and looking like, for me, the prime suspect for who is going to be going through to the World Championships from APAC.
Incredibly dominant performance, and we've come to expect no less from Surrender. At this point, I just find it kind of funny that it's always Glory that beats Surrender. If it ever happens, it's
Yeah.
only one man that can stop Surrender's win streak. But fair play to DawN. I think we saw flashes of brilliance in a lot of different spots in that series. I'm still questioning the Druid game, but I think a lot of his Demon Hunter lines were pretty nice, and maybe just the build of the mage letting him down a little bit.
I mean, absolutely. I think from both of the C9 boys here in APAC, it's been a much better week so far compared to what we've seen in the previous weeks, which I'm very happy to see. I like that the caliber of play is staying high, even as the pressure starts to set in. It was a loss for both of them in the end, but I still think they can hold their heads high after some fairly well-played series of Hearthstone there. That does mean, I believe, that we are all done for our third match of